I have been absolutely enthralled with Pokémon content on YouTube lately. Unfortunately, I simply don't have the artistic prowess to come up with such captivating designs for hypothetical Pokémon. I am, however, a pretty good competitive Pokémon player, especially when it comes to single battles and Draft League. So I thought of a fun idea where I could ask fellow competitive singles and Draft League players on Pokémon they would like to see with niches that are hard to come by or don't exist in the current mainline games. From there, I use my own competitive knowledge and enlist the help of the wonderful Bozgarong, who will be listed in the description. His work is incredible. Please check him out. Couldn't recommend him more. To take these competitive niches and bring them to life. Today, we're going to design Pokémon that competitive players want to see. Hey guys, my name's OG Albina. I typically make a lot of competitive singles and Draft League content, but like I said, I've really been enjoying making these Pokémon videos lately, and if you enjoy them today, please be sure to drop a like on the video as well as subscribe to the channel. It really helps out a smaller creator like myself. We're trying to reach 5K by the end of the year. And also lets me know that you guys are enjoying this content so I can continue to make more of it. Also, be sure to drop your ideas for Pokémon that you'd like to see me make in the future in regards to different competitive niches and things like that. But yeah, with that being said, let's jump into it. On my original tweet, by far the most requested concept was a Pokemon that automatically set up Trick Room upon switching. I was very hesitant on fleshing out this concept, despite its obvious popularity. The main reason is it would just be broken. Not in the context in which I play Pokemon, in competitive singles and Draft League, but more so in doubles. Trick Room is much more dominant and consistent in doubles, and can already feel incredibly over-centralizing in the format. It's not typically as good in singles, as there's only one Pokemon on each side of the field, and you have to use an entire turn clicking the move. This seemed to be a request from people who largely play singles, and would like the strategy to be more viable in that meta. I'm mentioning this for two reasons. Number one, I don't think Game Freak will ever make an auto Trick Room Pokemon. They balance the game largely with doubles in mind, and to my limited VGC knowledge, this would break the game on even a terrible Pokemon. Number two, I understand this would be broken, obviously, so please keep that in mind when commenting. I'm largely going to be approaching this from a singles perspective, as that is the metagame I play. It's not real, so don't worry, you aren't going to lose to it at your locals. However, I will say the concept and design of this Pokemon are incredible, and I'm so excited to show you all. Introducing the newly discovered Hypno evolution, Hypslow. Hypslow is a truly sadistic Pokemon. It uses its immense psychic power to distort the perception of space and time around it, slowing down its targets to a snail's pace. This allows it to slowly pick away at it and play with its prey. I absolutely love this design from Bozgarong. It really leans into the old Merlin type of time wizard look, with the long beard that its neck fur morphed into. Plus, the addition of the hypnosis pattern on its forehead and the clock it swings, mwah, chef's kiss. Also, it looks terrifying. Hypno has always been a creepy Pokemon itself, the subject of many creepypastas and Pokemon theories that probably terrified the child versions of us in the past. This evil wizard vibe is a great next step in my opinion. Hypno would have the exclusive ability Temporal Shift, summoning Trick Room immediately upon switching into the battle. This would give 5 turns of immediate reverse turn order priority. Its stats would be as follows: 95 HP, 73 attack, 75 defense, 103 special attack, 120 SPDF, and 67 speed. I didn't want to buff up Hypslow's stats too much, giving it a very moderate BST increase of plus 50. Its ability should be doing the heavy lifting here. I also especially didn't want to lower its speed. I think doing so would make some sense thematically, but I do not want to make it automatically the slowest Pokemon on the field, giving some counterplay to the opponent and even slower Pokemon. Back to the ability though. Temporal Shift has so many incredible applications in singles. One is obviously making Hypslow very often have the speed advantage automatically. As you all know if you're a returning viewer, speed control is the most important thing in single battles in Pokemon Draft League. And Auto Trick Room is a pretty incredible way of ensuring said speed control. Base 67 is pretty darn slow, with a negative speed of nature and 0 speed IVs. You could even make yourself slower by holding an item like Iron Ball, subsequently making yourself faster in Trick Room. Say you switch in your Hypslow on Garchomp as it swords dances. You set up Trick Room automatically, and then blow it away with a foul play. Maybe Volcarona sets up a Quiver Dance. You pivot in, hit it with a mean Encore, before either switching out into a physical breaker like an Ursaluna, or Psy-Shocking it down. You even have other fun options like Haze. And lastly, you can of course use this as an opportunity to sweep or break with Nasty Plot and Calm Mind as setup options, and access to the potent combination of Psychic Stab, Dazzling Gleam, Focus Blast, and Shadow Ball. This coverage combination gives you the ability to hit the entire game neutrally and 60% of the game super effectively. Not having to slot Trick Room on as a move slot greatly opens up the ability to use all 4 of these coverage types, or 3 of the 4 alongside Nasty Plot or Calm Mind. Heck, we haven't even mentioned that Hypno and subsequently Hypslow would get access to Wish to keep itself and its teammates healthy. One downside and thing to keep in mind is that if you switch in Hypslow when Trick Room is still active, most likely via Hypslow setting it up itself, it would reverse the Trick Room and return the turn order to normal. Overall, I'm very happy with its design and the balancing alongside it. This Pokemon would 100% be too broken in a double battle context, but in a solely single battle context, it could finally make Trick Room a bit more viable of a strategy. I also received a ton of asks to make Pokemon with unused type combinations. There's a ton of fun ones to look into. Fire Fairy and Ground Fairy are 2 that immediately stick out as pretty broken. However, I decided to go a different route. Bug and Dragon is an incredibly cool concept design-wise and has so many different routes you can go. I also added in a concept that I personally want to see more of, Steelworker-esque abilities. Steelworker is a signature ability of Delmise that essentially gives a Steel stab boost offensively to it, giving it 3 stab typings offensively. Between this new ability, which we'll get into in a minute, and the Dragon typing, I decided to design my own pseudo-legendary. This will only showcase the hypothetical final form, as I have a budget for these videos. If you guys have any ideas or concepts for the first 2 stages, I'd love to hear them in the comments. With that being said, I'd like to introduce you to Mecopierce, the toxic assassin Pokemon. Mecopierce is the apex predator in the jungle environments it calls home. It uses the ability to change the color of its body and skin to camouflage itself in tall, lush foliage and trees. When an unsuspecting prey wanders too close, it uses its incredible speed and neurotoxin-containing stinger on its tail to immobilize and consume its prey. Mecopierce here draws a ton of inspiration from the incredibly scary-looking but cool scorpion fly. Despite the big stinger these insects have, the real-life counterpart is actually not poisonous. However, I felt the big scorpion tail was too easy an opportunity to pass up. So I chose to make Mecopierce's tail contain a paralyzed neurotoxin. Its name comes from Mecopterra, or Mecopierce, I don't know. The order of insects the scorpion fly comes from, and Pierce referring to its deadly weapon of the tail. Onto the competitive concepts, and there are actually 2 here, as mentioned before. The first of which is the ever-elusive but very sought-after Bug-Dragon typing. The combo is one of the few unused type combinations left in Pokemon, and we have to make up for Game Freak not making Slitherwing a Dragon type. I mean, come on, look at his little dragon tail. It was perfect. What are we doing? Anyways, back on topic. The second concept is another Steelworker-esque ability. As I mentioned before, I love this idea a ton and wish we had more Pokemon with abilities similar to this. Leading me to make Mecopierce's signature ability, Toxicologist. Huge shouts to Jesse504 for the name. For those of you who don't know, a toxicologist is a scientist who studies the effect of chemicals, pathogens, and other substances on living organisms and its environment. I love the naming scheme being similar to Steelworker in the sense that it's a profession or a job. As you may have guessed, Toxicologist gives Mecopierce what is essentially a 3rd stab on poison moves. Not only is this super cool, and works with the Scorpion Tail and lore, but it's also great competitively. We would also be giving it access to a signature poison type attack and Noxious Jab. A 90 base power move with a 15% chance to poison the target and a 15% chance to paralyze the target. It's a bit like a dumbed down version of Sneasler's Dire Claw, and a bit stronger. Pseudo-legendaries often have a signature move, and I thought this was a cool thematic and competitive add. Fairies are often the biggest stopgaps to offensive dragons, and being that the typing also versus Bug, it'd be a pretty big hurdle for any Bug Dragon to break down and beat Fairies. Getting access to a 3rd stab option in Poison that hits Fairies super effectively solves this problem pretty easily. This leaves Steel types as the main stop to our triple stabs, but between the coverage it has, which we'll go over, plus U-turn just gaining an initiative, especially if hazards are up, Mecopierce should be fine. Let's take a look at its stat line. 80 HP, 140 attack, 65 defense, 90 special attack, 65 speed def, and 160 speed. 2 words, fast and strong. Wait, 3 words, fast and strong. It's Gen 9, baby. We're min-maxing the heck out of Mecopierce. 160 speed will allow it to outpace fellow speedsters like Tapu Koko, fellow pseudo-legendary Dragapult, and Zeraora, including many, many more Pokemon. 140 attack will allow it to lean into the incredibly fast Glass Cannon Archetype. I mean, I almost see this Pokemon as a much cooler, better Mega Beedrill. There has to be a downside to the stat spread though. So we have paper thin defenses with the spread of 80, 65, 65. Alongside a weakness is Stealth Rock, either forcing heavy duty boots or 25% upon switch in when Stealth Rock are out, and a pretty bad defensive typing in Bug Dragon, Mecopierce might be the purest definition of a glass cannon in Pokemon. I see it playing very similar to Mega Beedrill in the sense that it'll be you turning around until it finds the perfect opportunity to pick up a nice revenge kill. Like in past videos, I won't be going over every move that Mecopierce could have access to. Instead, I'll be going over competitively viable options I could see players getting use out of. When it comes to stab options, it would have Scale Shot, Dragon Claw, Outrage, U-Turn, X-Scissor, Fell Stinger, and Pin Missile. And then coverage-wise, it would have a solid amount of options in Noxious Jab, Poison Jab, Gunk Shot, Knockoff, Drill Run, and Sucker Punch. Two things to keep in mind. Poison moves like Noxious Jab, Poison Jab, and Gunk Shot are all essentially stab despite not technically being so. Number 2, the combination of Drill Run to hit Steel types and Knockoff to remove items are incredibly important to this theoretical Pokemon's success. Status move 5, it's a lot of setup and offensive utility moves like Dragon Dance, Swords Dance, Toxic Spikes, and Taunt. SD and DD give it the option to sweep, but I think it would be pretty difficult considering its bulk and typing. And that is going to be the end of, I guess, Pokemon that competitive players want. Still don't have an exact name for this series, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you think I made them a little too over the top, if they're good, if they're bad, if they're cool. Again, keep in mind with Hypno, I know it'd be broken in doubles, but let's talk about it from a singles perspective. I'm really interested to see what you guys think. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, sub if you're new. I'll see y'all next time. Later.